Welcome to Inquiry into Self. So, anytime that we are afraid, we've lost contact with our true self. Our true self, our nature, is so timeless and indestructible that it actually is not afraid. So, how can we use fear as a path back to what we are? Well, let's just take a fear that there's going to be hate and dictatorship overflowing in our country. And it's amazing when we project, how that could happen. It's in this very impossible way. We imagine these kinds of awful things as though they can happen in isolation. Like somehow this evil can penetrate and take over and just overcome everything else. But that is never how anything happens. It's always in a greater context of a upswelling of humans who want to support each other. There's all kinds of undergrounds that happen, all kinds of new support, new enterprises that rise up to create the balancing force. So our mental projection is awfulizing. It's never how it actually happens. So first we just have to own that this fear building is based in something false. Now, we've projected that something out there is being very false, is run amok, but it's our own thinking that is actually run amok. So as we rein that in, we notice, wow, this is what the human tendency is. And just simply calming our own fears creates a ripple that calms the fears behind all the other things that happen. And now let's look at another way to see this. Okay, so say, yes, some amount of overreach happens more and more. Well, that is exactly what has happened in many countries as a result of the U.S. interfering with their governments. Many countries actually collapsed. Minorities that didn't represent the people were brought to power. There's a great amount of upheaval. And then eventually, in many cases, something positive eventually came out of it. Is it so bad for the U.S. to experience what it has caused other places? If all these other countries have gone through it, is it so bad that the U.S. should somehow be the one country that doesn't go through it? They made it through. And it was at the hands of the U.S.'s various agencies. So we can't try to be the one place it doesn't happen. I mean, obviously, we can do what we can to make things flow as well as we can. But if something of that sort happens in the U.S. too, okay, we'll find the same resources, we'll find the same way of pulling together. It is something humans pull through. So as we just step back, there's no protection from life itself. There is natural things that happen. There is the waves of movement of humanity. And it's in the moment that the full situation happens. In the moment, there's all the help that comes. In the moment, there's the strength to go through whatever happens. In the moment, there's new creativity and new connection. It's always in the moment that whatever pain happens, so does all the positive resources to get through it. It's always in the moment. So the only way that we will be most connected to those resources, if something were to happen catastrophic in any way, is by developing that capacity to be in the moment. In the moment right now is where I have the most capacity. In the moment right now is where I have the most capacity. In the moment right now is where I know this that I am, that's true, that's real, that's timeless. And in the moment right now is all there will ever be, regardless of what happens. So there's nothing that drives me more into the moment than seeing the chaos of my thoughts and turning back to this that is real. This fresh aliveness, this inherent connection, this creative wisdom, this spontaneous being in the moment, this here now. Thank you, universe, for cornering me back into the moment.